The Maid. So, when did this come out? 22? It says here my library got it on the 1st of no, not the 1st of Jan, the 27th of January in 2022. Feels like it came out. It says 22. Oh, okay. The library was on top of things, apparently. Ooh. Anyway, so The Maid, it went around for a bit and was quite hyped, I want to say, but then I haven't really seen it about in a while. So The Maid, basically, we follow a girl called Molly. Molly, she lived with her grandmother all her life. She grew up. Her grandmother passed away a couple of months ago when we start the book, so we don't actually see of her. We hear of her, but we don't see her. Yeah, basically raised by grandmother. So she has a very old way of speaking sometimes, which apparently came a lot from her gran. So there's that. Molly is a maid at a very, I guess, prestigious hotel. I forget the name, does it say? Regency Grand Hotel. She's a maid, and it's like what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to be a maid. We do get a few bits and pieces here, back and forth, timeline wise, like what's happened in recent years in her life, just snippets to puzzle together what kind of person she is, what kind of character she is. Basic info on Molly. Molly, there's more information on Molly. I'll say this before I tell you about the book. So Molly she's definitely on the spectrum. It doesn't say in the book, it's never actually mentioned, but the way she speaks, the way she interprets what other people say, how she interprets what other people say, all that, you can just tell she's on the spectrum. What level, who, what, where, how, I couldn't say. I don't have that kind of education, but you know, she's not like other people or everyone else around her. Let's just say that. And there's nothing wrong with that. So no, don't come at me for saying it that way. It's just the way it came out. Basically, she doesn't really have friends as such. She does have a guest who stays regularly in the hotel, who she talks to a lot. That's basically it. And she is a bartender and so on and so forth. Basically, that's her interaction with people, especially since her gran passed. As I said, Molly is a maid. And one day, she, one of the rooms has a dead body. She discovers a man dead in the bed. Yeah, and the book sort of takes off from there. Now, because she's the way she is, people, they don't really understand her. So because she's not like hysteric and stuff when the police talk to her, they wrongly accuse her of having murdered this hotel guest. So we go through a whole process of basically her trying to clear her name and like who she can trust and so on and so forth. I found it very good. I really like this book. I did, however, have moments when I felt it was kind of hard reading the book from her perspective, seeing her thoughts and hearing the way she speaks, that at times it became too much for me. And it was just because I could see her perspective and also the way other characters were treating her and not really understanding her and she not really understanding them. It was a bit hard to read, but it was a very well written book. You do get, like I said, we have a bit of, I guess, time jumps I don't know. We have some POVs. No, we have some snippets from past events, and we do get to see a lot. There's so many things. I really liked this book. I was surprised, but I really liked this book. I was also surprised that it wasn't a standalone. It's apparently a series. I don't know how many books are out. I just saw, I know there's, where did I put it? I put this somewhere. I have book number 2, because this book reads very well as a standalone, so I was so surprised. There's more books. But yeah, I have book 2, so I shall be reading that. And we'll see where it all ends. I'll look up to see how many books in the series are out, and if there's like hints of future books. I don't know. But surprising, yes, I liked it. Definitely, definitely more thrillery-esque than Riley Sager books. But still, I wasn't like, oh my god. But I definitely had moments. I think the moments were more of a, why can't you people understand that Molly is not like you? Second book, Molly Maid Thingamajig. Yeah. Last one I'm gonna get from the library, so yeah. Anyway, I believe it's been like 3 years since the last book, give or take, something like that ish. And this one we have, so Molly is now head maid. She got promoted in the last book. Shh, I didn't say that out loud. Shh. Anyway, she's now head maid, and things are a bit different. Things are running a bit more smoothly, and you know, it is what it is. She also has I guess a maid in training that is basically her. It's kind of adorable. Except this maid in training, what was her name? Lily. She's less talkative, I suppose. Anyway, in this one, there is another murder, but, well, at least Molly doesn't get blamed this time. She's still slightly a suspect, but she doesn't get blamed. She's also gets involved in the investigation a lot more, because other people, like, put her, not in charge, but they pull her in, as it were. This very famous author, he is supposed to come to the newly decorated, newly opened tea room, sort of like showing the world that they have this new tea room, and also this author needs a place to have this thing said. Anyway, right in the middle of his speech, he just kinda, and dies. Yeah, suspicious. We also find out along the way that this author is actually, Molly has met him when she was little. It was actually his house that her grandma was the maid of. So they had a bit of a relation, as it were, for a bit. Yeah, there's a bit of a connection. It's a fun little, like, to see Molly as this tiny human who wants to be a maid, because why not? I mean, if you want to be a maid, be a maid. Hell yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so there's a lot of things going on. This author has a very, like, say, strong fan base who just happens to be hanging around the hotel as well. They're not making life easy for anyone. Let's say that. I don't know, I like this book a lot more than the first one, mainly because even though Molly is still the same character like she was in book 1, but it's like people around her have actually started to understand that she's not a weirdo. She just thinks differently, she speaks differently, she's a bit different from maybe everyone else, but there's nothing wrong with her. She's a clever girl. She's just her. She's special. Like we all are in our own special little ways. So it was a lot easier to get through as such, because it was like she was acknowledged in a completely different way, so it made it a lot easier to read as a reader. But still, there are other characters that just brings it up and down and makes everything a mess and all that. So I am happily going to continue this series whenever I can get hold of the next installment. This is the last one my library has, so this is going to be it for now, as well as this video. So, you know what happens now. It's the same thing every video, isn't it? More or less. So, have you read these books? I know The Maid, especially the first one, has been going around town for a bit, but I've not really heard a lot about it, except that Molly is a bit special and a murder happens and she's blamed for it. Which, I mean, it's the gist of it. I'm not gonna lie, it's the gist of it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Until then, take care. Bye.